Number 1. Yakuza 0. It's been a long time coming. I'm not sure when I first became aware of the Yakuza franchise, but it was always one of those things I respected from a distance. I was a little too young to take interest in the PS2 entries, and by the time Yakuza 3 rolled around and the series started to hit its stride, I couldn't bring myself to jump into a story in progress, no matter how ridiculous the occasional clips and gifs I'd see were. It seemed like a series that was destined to stay forever outside my purview, even as glimpses of each consecutive release made it seem even more up my alley. Yakuza 0 was the perfect answer to my prayers. Suddenly there was a new release, complete with all the modern polish of a series that has evolved continuously for over a decade, and it was set at the start of the timeline, before even the events of the original game. The perfect time to jump on the train to Kamurocho and find out exactly what I'd been missing out on for all these years. I didn't hesitate. As it turns out, all those glowing reports of Yakuza's delightful blend of the bizarre and the serious, all those desperate fans pleading with anyone who would listen to give the series a try, they were right all along. Yakuza 0 is a masterpiece. It simultaneously serves as an ideal entry point to the series for newcomers, whilst also adding a wealth of backstory to the series' two most iconic characters for long-term fans to enjoy. I found myself completely wrapped up in the game's central plot, watching these ever-shifting factions warring over a tiny scrap of land known as the Empty Lot. Alliances are forged and broken, characters go through hell and back to protect those they care about, and the whole story builds to a frantic, exciting climax that's left me feeling fulfilled and satisfied. Along the way you encounter a huge cast featuring countless memorable characters, many created solely for this game. There's Kuze, the traditionalist Yakuza, determined and fierce. Awano, the sleazeball lieutenant obsessed with the luxury lifestyle. Shibusawa, the quiet businessman who shoots first because he already knows the answer. Sagawa, the overly friendly boss with a stern edge, ruthless but sympathetic. Nishtani, the wild-eyed, unpredictable joker in the pack. Lee, the bulky bruiser with a heart of gold. Tachibana, mysterious and unassuming yet seemingly bearing all the answers. Oda, the rough-edged thug polished up by his boss. And, at the centre of it all, Makoto Makimura, an innocent young woman swept up in a whirlwind of death and destruction without any understanding of why. On top of these, there's plenty of series regulars making an appearance here in their younger days, most notably of course, joint protagonists Kiryu and Majima. Yakuza 0 paints an incredible portrait of how both characters came to be the people they are in later entries. You can see the seeds of everything they come to be in the people they meet, the trials and tribulations they face, and even the ways that they fight. Speaking of fighting, the combat systems are sublime, giving both characters 3 distinct fighting styles representing the component parts of their iconic movesets. Along with the myriad objects scattered around Kamurocho and Sotenbori's neon-lit streets, this gives you a vast array of moves with which to dispatch your foes. The heat actions never stop being a delight to pull off as you slam goons here, there and everywhere in a variety of definitely non-lethal ways. Were Yakuza 0 just its core narrative arc and combat system, it'd probably still be in contention for one of my top slots, but then there's everything else layered on top of that, the knickerbocker glory of side activities that Yakuza is famed for. Everywhere you go there are short sub-stories waiting for you, and astonishingly almost every single one of them is an absolute delight. The sheer consistency of quality across the board is staggering. Whether I was teaching Ayu how to be a better dominatrix, rescuing Iori from the clutches of the Order of Munan Chohepton Ast, bringing together the kids of the Pocket Circuit, or protecting Miracle Johnson as he moonwalked down a street filled with zombies, Yakuza 0's sub-stories had me cracking up with laughter as Kiryu and Majima stepped up to any situation with aplomb. As if that still wasn't enough, there's the likes of karaoke, telephone dating, pool, darts, countless places to eat and drink, a whole suite of classic arcade games to play, and even an erotic video parlour. But wait, there's more. On top of the dozens and dozens of hours of activities and stories that Yakuza 0 kept throwing at me at a breakneck pace, Sega also had the audacity to include 2 full side projects in the form of the Kamurocho Real Estate Royale and the Sunshine Cabaret Club. Kiryu's real estate business was a fun progression that I couldn't tear myself away from until I owned half the city and was raking in billions of yen per hour, but the real star here, the delicious cherry sitting atop that knickerbocker glory, is the Cabaret Club. Running Sunshine honestly could have been a standalone game and I would have happily paid for it. The amount of depth on offer in this single side project is astonishing, from the ability to completely customize the looks of your best hostesses and engage in conversational minigames to learn more about them whilst improving their skills, through to the actual business of running Club Sunshine and micromanaging your guests. You really get to build bonds with all the girls working for Sunshine, and the little touches such as Majima giving them a sly thumbs up when he serves their table just make my heart explode with joy. Something as small as that is a perfect representation of both the level of careful detail poured into every aspect of this game and the wonderful personality which shines through at every possible moment. That Yakuza 0 manages to pull that charm off through the translation only serves to make it even more impressive. I've already been talking for far too long, and yet it feels like I've barely scratched the surface of what I love about Kiryu and Majima's 80s escapades. But if you're still listening this far in, you've likely noticed a theme popping up in my babbling: the sheer scope and consistency of everything on offer. Yakuza 0 is simply vast, and yet, with just a couple of small if notable exceptions, every single part of it is incredible. It's almost criminal that there's so much to do in a single game, especially when all of it is this much fun. But then what else would you expect from the good crime boys of Yakuza 0? Perhaps the most exciting part of all for me, however, is that 0 is just the beginning. I went on from that to Kiwami, which I also loved, even though it served to show just how much the series has evolved up to now, and I still have 5 more games waiting ahead of me. Yakuza 0 sold me completely. I have to see where things go from here. If you haven't experienced it for yourself, please give it a try. 0 is already frequently on sale, and it was honestly a bargain at full price for what you get. If on the other hand you are already a fan of the franchise, then you've probably already played this, and I suspect you'll be right there with me when I say that Yakuza 0 was, without question, my favourite game of 2017.